Do you ever watch The Daily Show, by the way, now?
I'll check in with stuff. I more like just checking in with them. Like I'll check in with Trevor, I'll check in with John Oliver, I'll check in with Steve, but I don't watch it on I don't watch any of it on a consistent basis. I don't watch anything.
Because it would feel like work if you had to tune into Trevor's show. Let's be honest.
By the way, I didn't watch it when I was on it. Like
right.
That it's the kind of thing that like it revs me up but I will say this, I've been incredibly impressed with when I watch some of the stuff that they're doing, and I'll watch it on clips,
Do you have a financial interest in it?
No.
Oh, too bad. No. I figured maybe you nice. Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, you really made that show. I mean, why not say, hey, listen, give me a couple of bucks. I'll be the quote unquote producer or something,
Yeah. I don't know how good a negotiating position I'm in right now for that.
Right.
I don't think that would be. Just call him up and be like, hey, man, can I have some of that money?
Yeah. You say, I mean, you're very complimentary to Trevor. You say he elevated the show in a way you couldn't. That's a pretty heady quote. But you really think that's true? I mean, Trevor does a great job, but I mean, come on, you were pretty fucking good at it.
That's not. It's not meant as a denigration of me. I'm not trying to.
It feels like it.
I just want to say that I sucked a little bit, but that guy. It's that. So the evolution of the show was also about opening our eyes to some of the realities of the business that are around us. When we started, it was like pretty much everything in late night comedy. It was born of the same mother, that sort of Harvard Lampoon school of pasty white guys sitting in a room making very clever,
snarky.
That's right. And evolving the show past that took a really long time. It was a lot of work, and oftentimes it came with defensiveness and not understanding, And I'm not even just talking about like women writers or black writers or, even socioeconomically. The radio and television business is run by rich people from Westchester. And the reason that it is because when you hire people in this business, you generally hire from the interns that you formerly had on the show, right?
Right.
But any intern that could afford to take 3 months off from college and spend that time polishing your grapes is going to come from a wealthy background.
You're right.
So all the people you were hiring were all socioeconomically at a very high level. So but these systems are all in place. It's not malicious on our part, but it is ignorant of the reality of it. And it is an inertia that we don't fix it. So it took us a long time to fix.
That's really astute.
Begin to fix a lot of those tributaries. So by paying the interns, suddenly you're getting a much more diverse group of people that are coming in. And then those people, as you get to know them, they get hired. And now you're starting to bring them in. We started a veterans immersion program, 24 veterans a semester. They would be around the show for a week. And then every week at night after the show, they would meet with a different department. And they would learn about the business. And then at the end of it, we do a career fair and we start finding these great veterans to hire for the show. Again, what we did before was diversity for diversity's sake. It was, we don't have enough women writers. Let's hire a woman. We don't have enough black writers. Let's hire a black person. But what we realized is we weren't changing a system. We were just granting access to a club everybody should have had access to in the first place. And it was our fault for not changing the tributaries. And also, it put those women and people of color in a very awkward position because now they feel the responsibility to represent.
Right.
I've been hired as a black person. So now, so that created tensions and pressures for them. So it was all these things that we didn't understand, that I didn't understand, that I didn't see. And getting back to the defensiveness, when I would get, called on it, what? I'm not sexist. My mother is a single mother. She wore a shirt that said, a woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle, and I'm a man, so I always knew I was a piece of shit. You know,
right.
It was that kind of thing. But it wasn't about that. But it took 16 years to change it at a glacial pace, right?
Right.
Because that kind of mindset to me is like, because I didn't grow up in it, it's like technology. Technology to me is an alien culture that I can do, but it's not a part of me. For Trevor, it's a part of him.
Right.
It flows from him naturally. And that's the evolution and it's not just about, you don't do it because necessarily like it's the right thing to do. It makes it better. The show is better. It became stronger. We were better. We weren't as shallow. The pool became deeper. We were able to do more things. It became a more interesting place to work, a more interesting place to be. We had, conservative Mormons and veterans from Afghanistan and people of color, and the show grew exponentially because of those voices, right?
Right.
But the evolution of it was grueling and took longer than it should have. And still, those tributaries have to be changed in a much more profound way. It's about, what it is? It's about equity. I'll tell you, what's interesting, Howard? Long Island is the perfect microcosm of this, right? You grew up on Long Island.
Yes.
And you grew up, where were you? Hempstead?
Roosevelt, Long Island.
Roosevelt. Okay, so Roosevelt. Roosevelt's like Hempstead. It's the black neighborhood, right?
Yeah, but my neighborhood was 97% black and Hispanic.
Right. And so the mindset on Long Island is black people are responsible for their own poverty. That it's their own lack of their culture, and their virtue doesn't allow them. If they would just pull themselves up like we had to. We worked hard, right? Levittown. Right. Hey, man, we were just some blue-collar kids who worked hard. Well, here's the part that you forget. When the veterans came back from World War II, the government put a plan in place of low interest loans where you could buy into these new communities that Levitt was building, right?
It was the GI Bill. My father got his house through that, yeah.
Black people were not allowed to buy in Levittown. Go back even further, in the New Deal, the Federal Housing Administration, again, these are not like subtle or implicit bigotry. This is written into the law that they would not lend to black people, that black people were not allowed to buy into these neighborhoods. And they were not allowed to get those loans. And then there was redlining. And in redlining, the banks wouldn't lend to people who lived in a certain. So as they're building equity in Levittown, everybody in Roosevelt and everybody in Hempstead is stuck living paycheck to paycheck. And it's not like they couldn't afford those houses. These were veterans.
Right. Yeah.
So people forget that there were explicit structural racist policies that created the projects. It didn't just happen. It was built purposefully